First of all, thanks for doing this. I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Long time coming. I'm glad we're doing it in person and not
Likewise.
remotely. And I think what I want to do is start with your origin story, because your path is very unlikely, your path to becoming a scientist. And I think it actually also kind of contextualizes some of the things that I want to talk about with you today. So maybe start there.
Sure. So on the one hand, maybe I was fated to become a scientist. I guess the two things that are relevant there are, I always loved animals, and I've always been obsessed with animal behavior. Like, just could watch Cousteau shows growing up, underwater life or animals hunting, animals doing anything. Is just so fascinating to me, because I think even at a really young age, I've always just been intrigued in sort of what drives different animals to behave in the way they do, and how body form matches to
small intestine. Once it's pushed into the small intestine, if you guys have watched the video on the enteric nervous system, we said that we have special receptors located right around the actual mucosa, and those are called chemoreceptors. And those chemoreceptors could pick up the fat signals, right? They could pick up the concentration of fats, stimulate the submucosal nerve plexus to stimulate special enteroendocrine cells. What type of enteroendocrine cells? Let's pretend here's one of them. This enteroendocrine cell is called cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin, or CCK, can go to various different tissues in the body. But the main one that we're going to talk about here, that we really want to focus on, is over here around the liver. In the liver, there's a specialized structure here called the gallbladder. So let's pretend here's the gallbladder, all right? And then from the gallbladder, you have something draining it called.
What's the starting point in the discussion around the brain?
Yeah, so the brain and nervous system, so it's like brain, spinal cord, connections with the body and back again. I don't distinguish between brain and mind. I think that's like an 80s discussion or earlier. And I think it would take us down the wrong track. So brain or mind to me is interchangeable. Mind-body is kind of interchangeable, because the brain is connected to the body and the body's connected to the brain, right? If I pinprick my hand and it hurts, my brain registers it where it happens. It's kind of an irrelevant discussion now. I think we really need to just appreciate that the nervous system is designed to orchestrate all the processes in the body, not just thinking and not just behavior. It really can be divided into 5 things. So there's sensation, and sensation is really bound or restricted by the receptors in the body. So receptors in the eye that perceive photons, light energy, receptors in the skin that perceive pressure,
Imagine you videotape yourself during a day, and then next day you watch that. It's like, God, who would want to do that? So what seems to happen in stories is that they distill. So they watch people watch people, and then they tell stories about what they see, but they leave a lot out of those stories. Everything that's boring, hopefully. And then more and more stories about exciting things get sort of aggregated, and then maybe a great writer comes along and writes something really, really interesting. Profound character transformations. And then you say, well, that's fiction. And then you say, well, that's not true, because it's fiction. But then maybe that's not right. Maybe it's more than true. Because who wants the truth? The truth is mundane reality, and you've already got that mastered. What you want is the distillation of interesting experience. And you might think, well, why is it interesting?
I started to record a journal for them. I do not write in it every week or every month or even, just on a regular basis. It's just when something happens, I don't want to forget. Or they say something that's really interesting, or I see the handiwork, the fingerprints of God in their life in some way. I kind of write it down. My goal is to have a collection of writings and thoughts and love letters really to my boys about their life that I hand over to them when they're mature enough to appreciate it. Or better yet, I might just hand it over to their wives and say, girl, this is what you're getting yourself into right here. And because my oldest will be 16 next month, I was looking through his journal and came across a story from when he was 5. I read it with fond memories because it was the little journal entry I put in there about him losing his first tooth. He had wiggled that tooth